Hey, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Controlled Interest Gamecast, where we talk about video games and everything happening in the industry. Episode 90. As always, I'm joined by Dom.
Hi, I'm Dom.
And Jordan.
Everything made up, bruh. Stay woke.
And newcomer to the podcast from OKBeast, the other half, or other main half, I guess, of OKBeast, Alex Van Aken. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Hola.
Hello.
It's been a long time coming. Finally, glad to have you on.
Yeah, we've been messaging back and forth for like 6 months, I feel like.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
When this isn't our
Pretty exclusive guest we've got.
When this isn't, the main revenue income, it's hard to figure out how to exactly get everything planned out, but it's finally happening. Glad to have you. We have Blessing on all the time. Well, seems like all the time. So I'm glad to have his better half. I'm just kidding. So this is a part of the show where we talk about what we've been playing. For me, it's kind of like a broken record, except I have something new to talk about finally, which is good. For the past couple of weeks, for the past couple of weeks, I've been talking about playing Monster Hunter World, which is kind of the same thing in that grind. Nothing new to talk about there, though. We'd love to hear your perspective when you talk about what you've been playing, Alex. So don't feel shy about talking about it. It's just, for me, it's kind of like the same thing. Nothing new to really report on. But I have been playing Celeste as well.
Yes,
I talked about I actually I've had it for a couple of weeks, but it's one of those things. I got sucked into Monster Hunter World, so I didn't have a chance to finish Celeste. Mm-hmm. I'm still not done with it yet. I'm at the Mirror Temple, but I love that game. Like I didn't stop playing it because I didn't love it. It's probably one of my favorite 2D platformers I've played in quite a while. I just love the mechanics.
Mm-hmm. Mirror Temple is probably also the most complex level in the game. It's my least favorite.
Yeah.
So just push through that, and you'll get to the good stuff again.
I'm enjoying it, man. Yeah.
I would say the last 10 minutes of that temple are insane. Like what you have to do to get through. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do you mean to tell us that you haven't beat Wolfenstein 2 yet? You're still letting
that
linger?
That's right on the top of the thing. So once I either finish the Monster Hunter World campaign or I finish Celeste, that enters slot number 2.
There you go.
Yeah.
My eyes can't roll hard enough.
Monster Hunter World is so addictive, man. It's such a good game. But going back to Celeste, I'm a sucker for very difficult games, Alex. Like, I loved Cuphead. I love Dark Souls.
Awesome, yeah.
I just love very difficult games. So, like, for Celeste, I know a lot of people, the difficulty is one of the things that either pushes people away or brings them in super hard. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's bringing me in super hard. A lot of 2D purists, 2D platformer purists, will say that, like, you need to use a D-pad on a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
I'm not of that mind, personally.
I didn't use it.
Yeah. And for this game, it's kind of hard on the Switch, I think, because I don't think the D-pad for the Switch is necessarily great. No. Because it isn't one piece. It isn't one D-pad, which I prefer. Like
Even on the Pro Controller, I couldn't use the D-pad.
Yeah, especially for the specific movements, because a lot of times you have to move diagonally, so it's like that doesn't really work out too well.
Yeah.
I love the characters. I love the fact that it's 16-bit style art, but the animations at the top when you have dialogue are really cool and really well done. I think the aesthetic of them is really pretty. I don't want to talk too much about Celeste because it's not a very long game, and I want to talk about it in full once I finished it. The other game I've been playing is PUBG 2, which is like same old. Yeah. It's funny when you have you're probably the same way, Alex. Like, if you have a crew you run with, you're more likely to succeed, obviously. So I have a crew of like 4 to 5 guys that we play nonstop, and I say 95% of the time we always finish top 10. Mm-hmm. We have a pretty solid group, and we win quite often. And one of the other days, a buddy who we don't normally play with joined the party, and he played with us, and we won. He's like, "Oh, that's awesome! This is my second chicken dinner ever." And we were like, "What?" Because like we win probably at least once a day, at the very least. So
that's
it's like to hear somebody who,
with my guy,
to hear somebody that like has played since the launch in December till now and only had 1 win. I'm like, that's insane. Mm-hmm. Like, if I didn't win that often, I don't know if I'd keep playing it. It's just very weird.
I went a lot less on PC. I think Xbox, for whatever reason, like, I don't know. I think a lot of people do better on Xbox. I think it's just like what you're used to. And so, I have one guy named my friend Josh. Pretty much, we probably win 2 out of the 3 games we play. But then I've got other friends that will remain unnamed, so I don't hurt their feelings, that I don't think I've ever won a game with, and we probably played 40 hours with them. So
It's so sweet of you guys to, be helping out these plebs out there.
Well, it's funny because it's different experiences. So, like, the guys I play with that we constantly win, it's more of like a win or bust kind of mentality. Like, if we don't win or at least come in the top, 3, it's kind of a failure. Yeah. But, like Alex said, if you play with the people that aren't as skilled or, you don't win as often with, when you do reach those incremental steps, it feels so good to be like, oh, we moved up, Mm-hmm. PUBG's weird too because it is a game like if you're really really good you can kind of carry your team, but at that point it's like they might just end up getting killed and they may weigh you down. So it's like, do you really want to protect your teammates who aren't as good because you're kind of better off without him? It's a very weird game. Die and
take their 4x scope they have.
Exactly. Oh, give me those energy drinks and painkillers. Yeah. So
Dom,
PUBG,
how you doing over there? You doing all right, Dom?
Me?
Yeah, he's still seeming because I haven't gone back to Wolfenstein 2 yet, which I need to, but it looks angry. So that's pretty much it for me. Who wants to hop up next and let us know what you guys have been playing?
I've been playing Persona.
Persona 5?
Persona 4 Golden.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. You have it on you've been playing it through Vita, right?
Fuck, yeah. The Vita. It's still pretty good. It's still good. That's about all I'll add. We've talked about it before, but it's not my thing, or I wouldn't have thought it was before I started, but it's not my thing. It's become my thing unexpectedly. Although I kind of hit a wall here on one boss, but I'm just going to rethink, re-strategize, maybe go back to theater class or drama class, whatever it's called, and do some of that school stuff, and then come back and try later. It's kind of the nice thing about it. You can just kind of go do some other stuff. And come back. Yeah. But that's it.
If you pretty much in any Persona game, if you kind of push yourself early on in the calendar cycle when you're first getting to a new dungeon, then if you get stumped or something like that, you can kind of take your time in getting back to it, training up.
Because so I had just beat the first. I think it must have been the first one. The dungeon with Yukiko. Jordan, am I ringing any bells? No. Yukiko, isn't that her name?
Oh, I thought you said Yukigo. I was like, Yukigo.
No, all case.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But anyway, I beat that and then did a couple things in school, and then all of a sudden, Mr. Bear or whatever was like, we need to go back to the same palace.
Mr. Bear.
Teddy says, we need to go back to the same palace. There's this jerk of a shadow there, and now I can't beat this guy. But yeah, so I don't know what's going on. It doesn't seem like I need to save anyone immediately. So yeah, I'll probably just go back and hang out at school and stuff. So that's where I'm at. It's kind of like relaxing.
Spoiler alert,
comfort food.
You got to do a lot of grinding in the old Persona games.
Yeah, and I'll say I did put it on like easy mode to try to reduce the amount of that grind. Hopefully, we'll see. Still early on. But that's been it.
So I have been playing Grand Kingdom also on the PS Vitamin. It's I'm actually not sure if it's made by a Japanese studio, but it has definitely got the Japanese game vibe, and is a strategy game. It's a great game to kind of just go through as you're watching or listening to something else. It is, I will say, pretty complicated as far as its system goes, and throws a lot of text tutorials at you quite early on, but once you get the hang of it, it's definitely a fun game, and it is gorgeous.
Did you grab it from PS Plus?
So I actually had bought the PS4 version, but it wasn't cross-buy, so yeah, the Vita version I have through PS Plus.
Okay.
So that was kind of nice, and it doesn't seem to have cross-save, which kind of sucks, but yeah, so enjoying that, been playing that a decent amount, and then like I talked about, I guess a couple weeks ago or so, it is time, gentlemen. I am hopping back into the Kingdom Hearts series, convoluted as it may be.
Should we do this together?
God, back into Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Well, Kingdom Hearts is all about the power of friendship, so that makes sense. But I'm playing them in order, and I've got this whole note on my phone of everything in chronological order, even the secret ending videos and all the random side shit. So I'm gonna try to really get a good grasp on the full story leading into Kingdom Hearts 3. So yeah, I might actually need a companion's help on that one, Dom. I might need your heart power, as it were.
I'm going in a different order. No, I'm gonna go in release.
Yeah. First time playing that's not a bad idea. But I've gone through all the games, or at least watched the cutscenes for some of the lesser spin-offs. So playing my favorite right now, Birth by Sleep, the first canonical game entry. They have I guess they have Unchained Key, the mobile game. Not a ton of story there, but they have the back cover CG movie, which is pretty cool, before Birth by Sleep. So anyways, went through that stuff, got that story, and then now I'm playing Birth by Sleep. So I've talked about this game before, but yeah, it's my favorite Kingdom Hearts game. It's my favorite portable game I've ever played, back when it was on PSP. Now on PS4, it's running at 4K 60, and I have never seen a PSP game look so good, even through emulation on a high-powered computer. I mean, it looks crispy for a PSP game.
I'm excited to see the GBA one on PS4.
Well, that they did a PS2 remake of that, like a full 3D remake.
Oh.
And yeah, actually with Chain of Memories, I think it's one of the few that is just cutscenes, if I'm correct.
I would love to see like the polygonal Maddens that were on PSP up-res to like 4K, dude. Like on a PS4 or something. That'd be hilarious.
The sports games, that's actually back when I was playing sports games. Madden and NCAA didn't look that bad on PSP.
Yeah, I don't think they translate as well those like at Kingdom Hearts, to like up-resing to 4K. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You could emulate that stuff and get it going pretty well. See what that looks like if you wanted to, because those fucking remasters are never coming. But anyways, yeah, that and a couple show shout-outs real quick. Started watching McMafia, which is a cool family crime drama. And then I mentioned Star Wars Rebels, I think, last week. And, man, ever since it's come back, they do 2 episodes at a time. Have been for this whole season. Yeah, so it's been 4 episodes total so far, and it has been quite insane. So the series itself finishes up next week, and I'm very excited to see where they go. A lot of emotion in these last few episodes. A lot of crazy shit going on. So far, super good.
I would love to join you guys in Kingdom Hearts, but they never released that collection for Xbox, so that's cool. Yeah.
Gotta get that PS5.
Alex, what have you been playing lately?
I've been playing. So there's been a lot of games that came out this week that I wanted to start playing. I just haven't really had the time to. I downloaded a game called Into the Breach and kind of dove into the first level a little bit. It's from the makers of FTL, Faster Than Light.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're controlling a group of mechs, and you kind of drop down from space, and you're fighting these like kaiju alien monsters that are trying to go after like the remaining power sources on Earth, and so your job is to destroy these kaiju and to protect these resources. But you kind of have to it's like tile-based, grid-based combat, so you have to manage where you're like attacking to make sure you don't take out your power and stuff. But it's really cool. Like if you fail, you can actually go back in time and kind of start again on a separate timeline with a new pilot. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Is that a strategy game?
Yeah, very much. And similarly to their first game, it's really, really difficult. And so there's a lot of like restarting the game and trying again. And then I've also been playing a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. That's a game I picked up a month or 2 ago. I've always been like a FPS guy, but I've kind of been bored of recent releases, and except for Overwatch. But yeah, Rainbow Six Siege is kind of mostly friends were just talking about it, and they wouldn't stop talking about it. So I finally checked it out, and man, it's so good. It's if you like tactical gameplay, it's right up there. Everyone gets like 1 life, and so once you die in the match, you're useless to your team. So it's very methodical, very slow, and yeah, it's based on its rule set. Like a lot of great moments come out of it. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's really cheesy to say, but it's a lot like chess. So like you really don't understand the I feel like I didn't understand the game until I got into the real nitty gritty, the real minutia of it, and then you start realizing, oh, this person, if they're on this team, they totally like negate the effects of this guy, and so it's a lot of like tactical choices in your classes and like your team comp, as well as just like being really slow and methodical in the game. So it's really fun.
Sounds like some tactical espionage action.
Yes, and I'm playing it on a PC, so really fun there.
Oh, you're on PC. That's hard. FPSs are always much more difficult on PC just because of the mouse and keyboard. Man, it's tough to hang with a lot of those guys that have been playing for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so slow, it does help. Like, this is my first FPS I've ever played on a PC, or in probably 15 years. And so I kind of picked this game for that reason. I wanted to get good at mouse and keyboard, and it's slower, so it's like you can kind of pick up everything, and like even though it's like really punishing game, it's like more of a safe environment for picking up the controls, compared to like an Overwatch or a Call of Duty. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So,
man, no, Jared, you couldn't be more right about that. It makes me think back. So I have like an old friend who's been like PC since he was like little, like playing FPS, and hanging out with him, me playing Counter-Strike, and I'm just like sitting there like, how is this even happening? Oh yeah, here take a turn, and I just can't even. It's not even like, it's like you're getting beat. It's like you can't even exist in that world. It's an entirely different setup. It's crazy.
That's my biggest negative against cross-platform play, is that guys with controllers playing at 30 FPS on PS4 or Xbox compared to guys playing at 60 with a mouse and keyboard on PC is a absolute world of difference.
Yeah, even if it's locked frame rate, you have such a huge advantage being more precise with the mouse than you do with the controller. Mm-hmm. It's insane. Alex, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I will say, my friend Cass from the Four Yanks on Aussie podcast, he's been playing with us with a gamepad, and he's been keeping up. Like he's clutched a couple of 1v4s, and I'm like, how are you doing that on a controller? So I think it also might be the game is different than a Call of Duty or something. But sorry, what were you gonna say a second ago?
Oh, who are your favorite operators? I'm just curious.
So yesterday or 2 days ago, I had been saving up my in-game coins or whatever, my credits, and I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna buy the season 2 bundle with all the operators that I want. So the past few days I've been playing as Mira. She's like my main on defense. So that's
my favorite. Yeah,
she's so good. So for those who don't know who Mira is, she can like essentially put these like one-way windows into a wall and look through them and see what's on the other side. And then if you play it right, there's like these really cool strats that come out of it. Like in the game, you can reinforce walls that you're essentially like putting a metal shield over walls so people can't shoot you through them. But one of the strategies that's kind of been emerging lately is you have one metal plated wall with your window as Mira, and then the other wall next to it is like the adjacent wall is just a regular wall. So when you see them through the mirror, you shoot them through the regular wall. It's kind of complicated, but it's really, really fun.
Sounds like something out of Dishonored.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been playing her a lot. Legion's cool. And then Castle. Those are my defenders. And then offense, I play a lot of Glaz, who's this guy. He can
same man.
Yeah,
that's mine. Yeah,
Glaz is dope. So for those who don't know who Glaz is, he's the sniper dude, and his scope highlights heat signatures through his scope. So you can throw in smoke grenades, and nobody can see through the smoke except for you, and you can shoot people based on their heat signatures. So he's super cool. And then I also use a guy named Blitz, and those are my main attackers. So
awesome. I recently picked up Rainbow Six 2, not like consistently, so I didn't really talk about playing it, but Operation Chimera, that I don't know, did it already launch?
Not yet. It's very soon. I think like next week or the week after.
And it also has the Outbreak mode, right? Which is like the zombies mode or something like that. Yeah.
It's almost like a Left 4 Dead campaign. It's way more I feel like involved than like a Call of Duty Zombies or something.
Yeah, like a horde mode, a simple horde mode.
Yeah.
Anything else you played besides that, or is that the whole shebang?
Besides PUBG, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of games I didn't get to this week that I wanted to. I've just been busy wrapping up some stuff in my personal life, but Last of Us Left Behind. I've been playing through. I'm like almost done with that.
It's so good.
I beat the game for the first time last week, so I wanted to.
Oh wow!
Hit up the DLC.
Are you okay?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. It was very, very good. I feel like I can't say anything on that game that hasn't been said 1,000 times. It definitely lived up to the expectation, for sure.
That's good. Yeah. So. Man, playing through Last of Us for the first time last week. That's crazy, man. That's
I have a whole. I tried to play back in 2013, and it just didn't happen logistically. I got screwed over several times, and I was just like, I'm done. I essentially bought a used PS3 to play that game specifically. Went to Redbox a couple times. Every time I went to Redbox to get the game, it was a blank CD. Somebody had taken the real game out.
Oh.
And then by the time I finally got a copy and started it up, the used PS3 I bought died. And I was like, well, I'm not meant to play this game. And then so I finally played it last week. So.
I really enjoyed the multiplayer in the game. I don't know if it's lively anymore, obviously. Maybe. But that's one of the things PS4. I'm excited for with part 2 is obviously the campaign and everything that comes with that. But also to see what they do new with the multiplayer, because it was a surprising hook for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people jumped into Last of Us to play the single-player campaign because they heard so much about it. And then you jump into the multiplayer, and it's different, you know? It has its issues and stuff, but it's very stressful, which I like.
It's reminiscent of Gears of War to me.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I see the comparisons there. I think that's pretty much it for everything we've been playing. Let's hop into the news. Got a couple of quick stories here. Vanquish 2. This is a rumor that it's going to be coming to Xbox One as an exclusive, which is strange. You know, Vanquish is an action game from Platinum Games, which makes this rumor even more odd because if you remember, Platinum was working on Scalebound. Scalebound was canceled.
Yep.
So for them to have another deal in place with Platinum would be very strange. The funny thing about this rumor is it doesn't have a whole lot of legs. Like, we didn't see, like, Eurogamer and a lot of other places come out and say, like, oh, this, you know, we've heard these things too. This came by way of Marcus Sellers, who's an industry insider, self-described, quote-unquote. But he's been fairly accurate with a lot of his leaks as of late. So there's not a whole lot for this to stand on. Have any of you at all played the first Vanquish?
Nope.
Yeah?
Yeah, Vanquish is really cool. I would say the story and the voice acting is pretty garbage, but the gameplay itself, as with many Platinum games, is very solid. It's a really fast-paced third-person shooter. The biggest mechanic is where you can slide around on your legs. You drop down and slide, and that changes up the combat quite a bit from a regular old third-person shooter. I didn't finish it, but I definitely enjoyed it, and one of those games that I would definitely be happy to see a sequel for, because it is an underrated game. It didn't get enough love back in the day. Glad to see that they had the PC port, and usually that's a pretty good indicator that, you know, more stuff might be coming.
Yeah, it's interesting with Platinum because they already have Bayonetta, which is, for all intents and purposes, exclusive to Nintendo. And if this comes true, that means Vanquish is kind of going to be Xbox's thing with Platinum. Is there a series that's exclusive to Sony that Platinum does?
Nier, yeah.
They're in a very odd predicament then if this happens, because then they're going to have like a franchise exclusive with the three bigs, which is super interesting. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of weight there, but the Vanquish PC port does give an indication of maybe something's in the works. The second story here is a game announcement that we had this week. It's a game called Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. It features a
Dawn of the Rise of the Techno Awards.
Exactly, yeah. So it's an XCOM-like strategy game. It launched with a cinematic trailer that features a characters kind of roaming through this wasteland. A couple of anthropomorphic animals, that being a duck and a boar, and the other one being a human that you later find out through the trailer is a mutant that kind of can turn its skin into stone. I have liked XCOM, like from a distance. I've watched people play it and stuff. I've never dove in. I own XCOM 2. I started it up, and I like the gameplay of it, but for some reason I got pulled away. Are you guys interested in this game at all? Like, does this bring, like, are you guys into strategy games, or does the aesthetic alone and the story kind of make you want to try it out at least?
Yeah, that the latter there, the cinematic piece is really, really damn cool. Like, it looks spectacular. Never really been into strategy games except like Fire Emblem, but yeah, this, like, just that that cinematic, like the story and those characters look really cool. So I'm game if this comes around or when it comes around.
It's always weird to see like an anthropomorphic duck because I think everybody's mind gets drawn to Howard the Duck and that movie that came out, the Marvel movie that from like I think the 80s. It's just really odd. For those of you who didn't see the trailer, there's a part in it when they're rummaging through this like abandoned diner and the duck finds an old can of like canned ham and he looks at it and he looks over to the pig and they kind of lock eyes and the pig looks at the can and they just kind of just nod their heads in disagreement. It's really funny. There's hilarious. Even a part after that where the pig finds a mirror in some like styrofoam packing peanuts and he lifts it up and he looks at himself and then he like moves his nose to be able to see like his eyes and stuff because obviously he has a huge snout and it pops back up in his face and he kind of gets agitated and like throws the mirror. It's cool because they conveyed so much character and they made the world seem really interesting. I mean, when you have an anthropomorphic animal that looks like that, it kind of just immediately draws interest. It's cool to see that it's going to be launching with PS4 and Xbox One because a lot of these strategy games come out on PC because that's the diehard audience. But I think games like XCOM have seen success on console enough to warrant a release. It's slated for 2018. We don't have a specific release date. Hopefully we see an update at E3 somewhere. My guess would be Xbox out of the big three, obviously. But we could possibly even see it at the PC show that everyone forgets about that happens every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. Looks like a very interesting game.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. The third bit of news here, and I'm interested to get your take, Alex, because you said you've kind of gone bored with FPSs over the last couple of years. The new Battlefield, the one that's set to release in 2018, we initially had rumors that it was going to be Bad Company 3. That struck up a lot of conversation as to what that means for the Battlefield franchise. But there's a new report now by way of IGN that it's reportedly set in World War II, so it's advancing from Battlefield 1 taking place in the First World War, and it's going to be called Battlefield 5, but obviously with the Roman numeral V. What do you think about this? Does it strike your interest that they're also going back to World War II like Call of Duty did, Alex? Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, I'm a big Battlefield fan, and I got into Battlefield 1 for a few months actually, and I had a blast with it. Mostly just because not necessarily the game, but it was just kind of like a bunch of old high school friends, and we all kind of reunited for the game. So that was a lot of fun. So I have some fun memories with that. I'm excited for Battlefield 5. I think it's funny like Battlefield 1 was such like a flub as far as like a name goes. So I'm curious like if Battlefield 5 will pick up where Battlefield 1 left off, or if it's a totally different campaign and totally different characters, just with, I guess that World War 1 set. But yeah, I'm excited. I like World War 1 and World War 2 shooters a lot. So I'm stoked.
Do you think they do like season pass or stick with the Battlefront microtransaction type stuff?
Well, they do a premium pass for Battlefield. So it is a season pass.
Yep.
I would assume they would move as far away from the model for Battlefront 2 as possible, especially with Battlefield, because that's their big seller. Going to the whole thing about the naming convention, Alex, in the report it actually states that internally it was known as Battlefield 2, following the naming convention of the previous Battlefield, but I guess now the rumors suggest that they changed it to Battlefield 5. So
yeah, why would they ever do Battlefield 1? I don't get it.
Yeah, like a
So
soft
bad.
reboot.
It'd be really cool if this is still Bad Company 3.
Yeah, just under a different
just
name.
Set, or just set in World War II. I think that could be really cool if they decided to not just do a regular World War II game, but kind of a special ops type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, if this would have came out last year, there would have been a real tough competition there with obviously Call of Duty being in World War II. But everyone can assume that this year's entry in the Call of Duty series is going to be Black Ops 4, which kind of takes a like partially future, partially past approach. So I think they'll be different enough there that they won't step on each other's toes a whole lot. Obviously, there will be some cross there because they're both shooters. Do you think this releases the normal time that Battlefield games release? They usually come out in October. We have Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out then. Do you think they're just like, it's Battlefield, that doesn't have, we don't have to worry about Red Dead taking any of our sales?
I think we'll see it like October 11th. Like, I'm just on that date out of my ass. Just like early October or early November. But I think I could see them doing October, early October.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more realistic.
It's going to be a very interesting fall to see where everything lines out, especially with, Battlefield doesn't come out every year, and obviously it comes out the year now that Red Dead does, which they couldn't have planned that because they don't know, and obviously Red Dead's been delayed twice already. It's just very interesting to see where they decide, because it is a big enough of a franchise that it will lose sales to Red Dead, but they can still do fine. I'm just wondering how confident EA is with the whole Battlefront 2 situation, how that's going to affect long-term this. Man, if there's even a sniff of some kind of like card system in the game, EA is going to be in for it, man. It's going to be very interesting to see how that whole plays out, because they're in some hot water, especially DICE, which is unfortunate because they knock it out of the park with Battlefield. To see them have so many issues with Battlefront 2 and its whole microtransaction system, it's tough.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's hop over. We got a package of some Sony news here. We're getting close to the first birthday of Horizon Zero Dawn. I believe it released today in March, right? It was in March, or was it February? It was a week before Zelda. So was it February?
Yeah, I think it was February 20. Last year was a leap year, I think. So it was. Yeah. I think it was like 29 in certain areas, and then March 1st.
Okay.
Everywhere else.
So it was reported on the PlayStation blog that it passed 7.6 million sales, which broke a record for a first-party new IP, which is huge. Obviously, the game was a success. It didn't necessarily clean up in Game Awards towards the end of last year with the likes of Zelda and Mario, but it did clean up at DICE pretty well. It did get a favorable amount of awards. What do you guys think? Alex, before the show, you said you had played it a little bit. Jordan and Dom, I know both of you have played an extensive amount of this game. Are you impressed by 7.6 million sales, or is the quality of that game like, oh yeah, that's what it deserves because it's such a fascinating game? Yeah?
Yeah, it deserves it for sure. What was Uncharted 4 at? Like, it passed like 10 million, I think, maybe 12, but it was also a packing game. Which probably helped it out quite a bit.
And it's also a sequel, so that kind of lets Horizon Zero Dawn get some of these accolades. Yeah,
exactly, a long-running sequel at that. So yeah, the fact that Horizon is almost at that same pace as a brand new IP is it's impressive. But it's such a good game that it doesn't surprise me that much either. So
it's great to see the experiment by Guerrilla pay off too, because they were known for Killzone and they tried something new, and PlayStation allowed them to do so, and they knocked it out of the park, which is fantastic. It's just whenever any game sells upwards of 7.6 million copies, it's insane. Speaking of a game that might do that, and another first-party game, we got the release finally of Quantic Dream's upcoming Detroit Become Human.
Yes, I'm so
it's not going to sell that much, man.
Yeah, May 25th, a month after God of War. So we're getting back-to-back months of PS4 exclusives. This is interesting. We've talked about previously on the show all of the issues surrounding Quantic Dream and the workplace harassment that has supposedly gone on. There were some weird conspiracy theories that they were initially going to announce the release date a while back, but because of all the controversy, they kind of wanted to distance themselves from it. Yeah. Also, we've had a recent report that PlayStation has readjusted a lot of their people at the top level to focus on first-party games. What do you guys think about Detroit Become Human? We can have a little bit of discussion. Like, do you guys think it's going to succeed? Is this a solid release date for it? I just want to hear all of you guys' thoughts on this news today.
I think May is a great release date for it. I'm trying to think of. I feel like we don't have much. I feel like we don't know about much that's releasing in that month. So I could see that, and they're giving God of War a month to breathe, because there were some tweets that Quantic Dream kept tweeting in early February. I think they're like, no, our game's still coming out in Q1, and even though we didn't hear anything about it, and so it's funny that it's like the end of Q2 that's actually coming out. But this is
to your point real quick, Alex. Just to clarify, in May, so far what we have confirmed for May is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze port on May 4th. Mega Man Legacy, Dark Souls Remastered comes out the same day as Detroit Become
Human. Eat everybody's lunch.
Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 comes out May 22nd on the Switch. So 2 Switch exclusives. Or releases, and then Dark Souls Remastered is its only competition really in May. A re-release, obviously.
Yeah, so I'm really stoked for Detroit. It's probably my top 2 most anticipated games for PlayStation this year. Top 3 for sure. So I'm excited for it. The Quantic Dream reports were definitely troublesome. I'm curious, if any of those, ideologies leaked into the game at all. Like, you never know, like, how the philosophies of, like, the creative directors and stuff affect, like, the game itself. So I'm curious to see how that works out. But yeah, I'm excited for the game as it is right now.
The worst part about that too is it's one of those where we're almost certainly never really going to know what exactly was going on over there, to what extent, and who is most responsible and stuff, and who ignored it and should have done more to all that weird stuff that apparently was going on there. So it's kind of a tough thing when you're like, well, maybe I don't want to support them, but it's like, is that fair? It's such a tough
where I kind of come down, and it depends on the studio and the game, right? A lot of the time I come down on the thought, like, a ton of, and this is probably me just justifying it so I don't feel bad as a consumer. But I do think about, like, you know, there are dozens and dozens of people that work on these games, and they all definitely have different ideologies, and it's unfortunate that the crappy opinions and beliefs of, like, their leaders taint the game that they've, like, poured their blood, sweat, and tears into. And it sucks that
if they happen to taint it. We still don't know if that is the case. Yeah.
It's definitely
that's the other thing. You could have had one peeved off employee who was fired make this report or something. I doubt it because it was so specific and weird, but
yeah. It's interesting. I'm still excited for this game. I've stated
cool.
on this podcast, Alex, I don't currently own a PS4.
Okay.
But I've made the promise that I'm purchasing one before Spider-Man. Spider-Man is I'm buying a PS4 game.
I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, I'm actually figuring out a way, and maybe I can talk to you guys after the show, Jordan and Dom. I want to figure out a way to be able to get like a free month of PS Plus, since I've never done it, to download Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank, so I have them in my vault. And then obviously when I get my PS4, I'll actually subscribe to PS Plus and I'll have them there. So I want to figure out how to do that. But
actually, you could just do it if I'm not sure, but when you first sign up for like PlayStation at all, like create an account, I'm pretty sure like they let you get a 7-day trial. I don't know if you have to do it from the PS4 though or not though. That's the only question.
Interesting. Worst case, I'll just give you my information. You can sign in for me if you can. I'll just
there you go. Exactly.
It's still my identity.
Just be careful picking your name.
Yeah, it's the same as my Xbox gamer tag. Don't worry. Even though I could change it on there, so I didn't have to worry too much. Alex, sorry though. Were you? What else do you have to say about Detroit?
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of narrative-based games, and I think Detroit is like, I didn't play Heavy Rain actually. I wasn't really into those games back then, unfortunately. But I feel like the Detroit seems like, and I've played the game myself. From what I've played, it's definitely like the most polished version of like a narrative-based game I played so far. Granted, I haven't played them all, but I play a lot of walking sims and games like, those kind of games. And it's definitely like reminiscent of those things, but on just a totally different level of polish and like voice acting and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But from what I've played myself, it's really, really good.
Yeah. Jordan, you've been looking forward to this game too. What do you think about the release date? Like, are you excited about May 25th?
Yeah, it's another strong start to the year for PlayStation with Shadow of the Colossus remake, and then God of War, and then Detroit right after that. So, and then with them talking about ramping up first party, which is just kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, that's they continue to dominate in that first party exclusive sphere, and I think this is going to continue that. I think that obviously it was bullshit what was going down at the studio, but I think that won't affect people's opinion of the game too much, and it'll have died down enough by then. I'm definitely excited about it. I love cyberpunk stuff. I love sci-fi in general. I definitely am worried about the story being derivative as far as the androids wanting to literally become human, which is the story in most android cyberpunk sci-fi situations. So with that being said, that is probably my biggest fear with this game, that the story is going to turn out to just kind of feel like old hat, but we'll have to see in May.
Yeah, I hope it's that, like, because there's three main characters. There's Kara, there's the guy, the revolutionist, so I always forget his name, and then there's the agent guy, right? Like the investigator. Those are the three main characters. And I wonder if one of them is going to be that very tropey, by the numbers, this is the android story, and then the other ones are going to explore some really interesting paths. Because I doubt that they won't make one of them super tropey just to familiarize people with it. You know what I mean? To make people kind of comfortable. But I wouldn't be opposed to them all three being very interesting and different. This release date to me kind of confirms in my own belief that Spider-Man isn't coming in the first half of 2018. I could not see a world where they release God of War, then Detroit, and Spider-Man all before E3. That would be very odd.
June game, but yeah, it's weird.
It'd like be cannibalizing themselves to a certain extent of like, I don't know. Obviously, there's a whole discussion of like, our first-party games, do they need to be spread out and that kind of stuff? But to me, I do not see Spider-Man coming out before June at all, especially with this release date. But who knows? Yeah, we could be going into next month, and they're like, "Oh yeah," and then Spider-Man's coming out in June because they announced it 2 months before. So, who knows?
Is there a Spider-Man movie coming this year?
No.
Okay.
Actually, they are theatrically releasing Into the Spider-Verse, which is an animated film.
Yep. But same day as Aquaman, December 11th, I think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, not a live-action one. Okay. Homecoming 2 won't be until after Avengers 4.
Oh wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's going to be the first movie of Phase 4 or whatever it is, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah. Dom, do you have anything to say about Detroit? I don't know if you got a word in edgewise there.
Yeah, it comes out the same day as Dark Souls, so I could give a shit less about it that day.
Dom is a huge Dark Souls guy. Yeah, me too. Obviously, I won't have my PS4 by then because Spider-Man hasn't come out by then. So it makes it easier on me being able to buy the Dark Souls remaster. Now I'm kind of fighting with myself of like, do I only buy it on Xbox One? Do I buy it on Xbox One and Switch? Do I only buy it on Switch? I'm like having an internal battle because that's one of my favorite games of all time, and to have it remastered is going to be super dope.
Jared, you don't have a 4K TV, right?
No, I don't have a 4K TV. No.
I say Switch all the way, bro.
Yeah, Switch.
Yeah.
Portable Dark Souls.
I would say the controls, but then you also have the Pro Controller, and it's also the achievements thing, but it's like, well, Dark Souls achievements aren't necessarily easy to get, so do I really even want to worry about that? I have a whole lot of things in my mind. I have friends who are getting it on Xbox, so do I play multiplayer? They buffed the multiplayer on Dark Souls, I think, with the remaster. I think it's up to 16 people. Which I don't need to play with 16 people.
16 in one?
Yeah. Yep.
That doesn't... What?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep, it's from software.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
just double
it's very
like
weird.
Me.
I doubt that's going to be a feature on Switch, though. I think it's only for PS4 and Xbox One. I doubt that's going to be a feature for Switch. The last news story here, we're going to just kind of morph it into a topic, and I want to talk about it because we have a lot of people here that pay for annual subscriptions to play online and get all of the goodies that come along with it. And PlayStation kind of dropped a bomb this week, in my opinion. They announced that PlayStation Plus is dropping PS3 and Vita games in 2019. This is kind of huge. They said it's going to take effect March 2019, so they kind of gave a year advance about this. If you're not familiar with PS Plus, you every month you get 2 PlayStation 4 games, 2 PlayStation 3 games, and 2 Vita games. Some of them are cross-buy. Cross-buy. It's very strange because it kind of seemed like there was built-in value there. If you were ingrained in the PlayStation ecosystem, you were getting 6 games, right? If you owned a Vita, if you owned a PS3, if you owned a PS4. Now with this Switch, you're going to be going from that to 2 games. It's still going to be costing the same as Xbox games with gold or Xbox Gold, period. Which gives you 4 games, the 2 backwards compatible games, which is even on its own more value because those you can play on the same console, so you don't have to have 2 separate consoles.
Yeah.
And 2 Xbox One games. It's very strange to me. People assume that this means that PS5's on the way. I don't think so. I think this is just kind of them moving past that. I think the more often PlayStation releases free games for PS3 and Vita, it allows people to spark up the argument of like, where's backwards compatibility and stuff. And maybe from an optics standpoint, they want to get away from that. So if they stop giving you free PS3 games, you'll stop thinking about backwards compatibility, which I don't think would work.
I don't know about that. I think it is the PS5 thing because we know that, games are in development for next generation. We know that it's been 5 years at this point, and that's, by a year from now, it's going to be 6 since the PS4 was revealed, I should say. But we knew this day was coming at some point, and they have been giving you a lot of value. However, a reminder, they just upped the cost of PS Plus by $10 at the end of last year. So we were like, oh well, maybe they'll give us more value for that, but that obviously is not the case. I would like to see them incorporate PSVR if they're going to take.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Yeah.
But also with Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank being the free PS4 games this month, that also is a sign of the coming PS5 to me, because towards the end of PS3's life cycle, they were giving away many more AAA games. So yeah, I think that's mostly what this is about. But it's definitely frustrating from my standpoint, being as ingrained in the ecosystem as I am. Especially when they raise the price, especially when there's still a lot of features missing on PlayStation Network and PlayStation Plus. So this is a little bit upsetting.
Well, look, do you think it's like icing on the cake of them like, hey, we're going to announce this thing that a lot of people are going to get pissed off at, but if we do it around the time we announce it, everyone's getting Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank for free, maybe they won't be as mad,
That's exactly what I was going to say, is they play this really, really smart from that aspect, but then also announcing it a year ahead of time, super, super smart. We'll have long forgotten about this by then, right? And even less people will care then than today.
Yeah. I think so. I'm more of the idea of I could see them like when this does phase out, kind of in the agreement of seeing one PlayStation VR title a month. I don't think you're going to get two at all. They don't have the library to do that. And two, I don't think it's PS5 related. I'm of the opinion that I've been talking about this behind the scenes with Blessing a lot lately, that we both think that PS5 is like late 2020, early 2021. I just think
Jesus fuck.
See, here's my reasoning. We are in this weird transition. So, one, they put so much R&D into this generation. They've got PS4, they've got PS4 Pro. You can count the PS Slim or whatever if you want. PSVR, all on this ecosystem. So I feel like they want to milk that for as much as it's worth. And my other reason is I think they're going to wait till 4K is more of a standard in the living room. We're still in that weird transition phase where a lot of people don't have 4K. It's still kind of pretty new. People are starting to adopt it, but I feel like in 2 years it'll have saturated living rooms a lot more, and it's like, okay, PS5 is 4K. We can support 1080p, but going forward, like, our focus is 4K. That's my thought as to why we might see it in a couple years.
I disagree, because I think for one, if they discontinue the other two platforms on PS Plus in March of next year, I think you could see them unveiling the PS5 right around that time. And so it's like, we're taking away the old ones, fall. But later on this fall, you're going to be able to have free PS5 games, even if they are like little indie ones.
Sure.
As far as it releasing in 2020 or 21, the consoles that we have now were already a little underpowered when they were released in 2013, and so even with the Pro or Xbox One X, they're going to be looking real rough come 2020 or 2021.
I think 2021 is pushing it. I think 2020 is probably more realistic in my eyes. But yeah, I see that. Yeah, I kind of recognize what you're saying there.
Another thing people forget is that the last console doesn't necessarily die when the new one comes out.
That's true. Yeah.
So if it releases fall of next year, PS4 can still be being manufactured until 2022 for all we know.
Sure.
And I do think 4K is probably going to become a lot more the standard next year. And if it releases next fall, then you'll be 3 years away from PS4 Pro. So I don't think people will feel like they're getting burned too bad, especially. You kind of knew what you were getting into if you bought a Pro, where it's like, it's an incremental, and I have 4K, so I'm into it, but I'm not expecting this to be the end all be all. So it's anybody's call at this point, but I hope, my personal hope is that it's out next year, because I do think we need new consoles. I think there's a lot more that can be done on consoles if they go ahead and upgrade us.
I think next year also. I think next fall, but that's just me. To the original point, though, or to the original story, I don't think this is them dropping PS3 and Vita from the Plus lineup is a big deal, even in the slightest. think there might be a couple people out there that are like, what the heck, man? But just like when they increase the price for PS Plus by $10 or whatever, it might be a story for a day or two, but it's just, I don't think there's any lasting negative effect on them.
Yeah,
because of it. It's time for those things to go away anyway, just to be blunt.
Oh no, see, that's my biggest thing, is that this worries me that, they're really going to stop supporting those two consoles, because, I still play both of those consoles on a semi-regular basis, and especially with the stores being separated, where you can't access your PSN games from the previous generation on the PS4 store, that worries me quite a bit. Having purchased so many and downloaded so many through PS Plus, hopefully the PS5 will alleviate that and we'll just get access to every generation. I think it would be ridiculous if we didn't, but yeah, that's the part that worries me.
I'm in the boat with Alex and Bless. I'm more along the lines of 2020. I think 2021 is a little too far out. For me, I'm not going to reiterate everything you said. I agree with that's a lot of the reasons I feel it's coming out in 2020 as opposed to sooner are for a lot of things you said. On top of the fact that from a marketing standpoint, I think just the 2020 is great. Just a nice round number to be able to release something. I don't know. It's just a weird gripe I have with that whole thing. But as far as added value and stuff, this is kind of showing how PlayStation has fallen behind in terms of having upgradable architecture, how it loses value to consumer optics. Because like we previously stated, you get 4 games on Xbox that all 4 of those play on your Xbox One. So you don't have to turn on your Xbox 360. So you're technically getting 4 games, right, every month. And obviously the value changes there. But moving forward, when the next Xbox is announced, we don't really have to worry about seeing them discontinue giving us Xbox 360 games because they already have that system in place. So right there is added value because we don't have to hear Xbox give a statement a year early of they're dropping the games because it's not an issue for them. And like you said, Dom, it's true. People are going to be mad about this for a while and they might forget. But it'll always bring up in conversations of especially when the new consoles launch in terms of value, that's added value for Xbox right off the bat. When you're going to have to be buying into the subscription services and stuff. So it's very interesting. It also makes it look more odd considering we're entering a time where Nintendo's going to have a paid subscription for, I believe it's $20 a month, and they're going to be giving 1 game. So it's you're almost paying 3 times as much. Where PlayStation is $60 a year. So it's you're paying 3 times as much for. It's very strange. I understand why they're doing it. I really can't see a world where PS5 comes out next year. I think it's just too soon, but I could be wrong. It seems way too soon for the next
6-year life cycle.
Yeah, it's just I agree with Alex on these mid-tier upgrades and them. 4K isn't that consumer friendly and everyone doesn't have it. And it's kind of one of those things where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You mentioned when they came out in 2013, they were already underpowered as consoles are they're often going to be in comparison to PC. Do they wait to get to a point where they can kind of have even more powerful consoles that match it? They're never going to really be on par. They're always going to be behind, So it's at what point do they decide just to screw it? Let's jump up in power. So yeah, I could see 2019. Nice. I could see 2020. Who knows?
It'd be nice if these next consoles were modular, where you can just make it super simple. So you want to upgrade the hard drive, you literally just hit an eject button while your system's turned off and slide the new one in. If you want a better video card, sound card, what the fuck ever, you just pop a button and the card slides out and you slide a new one in. I think that'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah. I think we'd be more likely to see that from Xbox than PlayStation if either of them were to do that. Yeah. It's interesting. We're in this weird gray area where we don't know because there's not a huge pattern, so it's what do we expect? So
in spring of 2020, the Nintendo Switch will be 3 years old, and think how goddamn underpowered that shit's gonna look when there's people think about where VR is gonna be and 4K gaming systems and obviously PCs. Switch is just going to look kind of sad at that point. Not that it's a bad console, obviously.
It'll probably have a system refresh at that point, I assume. A little bump.
Who knows? Who knows how long they're going to do the cycle for that one? Because if imagine if they didn't have another console until 2022, it's going to look like absolute dog shit at that point. So who knows what the next 4 or 5 years could bring as far as gaming technology.
I think we could possibly see one that's a little bit more powerful, and I think we could obviously possibly see one that's a little bit cheaper that doesn't have disconnecting Joy-Cons. It's interesting to see what they're going to play. Nintendo recently announced that they're more interested in accessories than they are in a 2.0 at this moment, which is like, Labo. Yeah, it's a console that's like 1 year old, so Labo. I wouldn't assume that they're trying to do,
They do love their incremental upgrades, though.
Yeah, Nintendo knocks it out of the park. They'll release 17 million different versions of the 3DS just to satiate people. I want if the Pokemon Switch game launches with like a Pokemon themed Switch, that's gonna be beautiful. Or like Pokemon
the Switch is never themed. It's only just the Joy-Cons, So
yeah, I know.
It's not the same.
Maybe it will be themed in the future. I live in a world where that could be a possibility, Jordan. Don't break my dreams.
Creating your own reality, are you?
Yes, that's an episode of Black Mirror. I think that's it for the show. Let's talk about what we're going to be playing next week. I'm on my Monster Hunter World grind. I'm close to the end. Have you finished the campaign for Monster Hunter World, Alex?
Oh, no, I sold that game.
Oh, okay. Did you not like it? Did it not click with you?
So I had fun with it, what I did play. It got to the point where, the sessions were getting so long and not being able to, like, pause my game. Like, I was chasing down, like, I was in, like, a specific hunt, and I was like, crap, I got to run outside, but I've got, like, 3 minutes left in my hunt. What do I do? And it's like, it was just like that kind of, those little things.
It was a lifestyle clash.
Fucking developers, if I'm not playing online, let me pause my goddamn game.
Yes, please.
Holy
little things
shit.
like that. Also it was just like my friends severely outpaced me, and I was like, oh, I got this to play with friends. Yeah. I don't want to grind solo. So I figured I'd get rid of it. So I pre-ordered Ni no Kuni 2 instead. That's much more my alley.
Jordan, did you hate Bloodborne then? Because you can't pause in that, can you?
Oh my god, dude! It's so fucking stupid because
I love it.
It's not like you don't pause the game; you just find a way to cheese it. Like you clear out an area and then go hide in a corner where you know you're not going to get attacked. It's like this is pausing the game. It's just a stupid way to do it. And so, apparently, or not apparently, I've actually used the function. Neo has added the ability to pause now. And it's like, why? Why wasn't that just there from the fucking start?
Let me pause my game.
Keep it out.
Bloodborne, you can dashboard though, and it like kind of pauses it.
No, I don't know. It doesn't.
It doesn't. Nope. I thought it paused it.
Nope.
Okay.
Only way to do it is to put your console into sleep mode, and then you can jump right back in.
Yeah, I like that. I've never had an issue with that, but it's like a lifestyle clash. It's just I understand. Yeah, there should be able to, if you're not playing online, you should be able to pause it. That's a whole discussion for another day. But I can see why Alex was like, yeah.
If you're going to the bathroom, like, you're not just going to be like, oh, well, I guess they're going to kill me. Like, no, you're going to find a spot where you're hiding. It's like, you're
and
just
it's different with Monster Hunter
difficult.
because you're on a timer a lot of the time. Like,
Yeah.
you have, like, X amount of time to get this monster down. And I'm like, well, I need to go. So did I just waste an hour? So that happened to me a couple times, and I was like, I think I'm going to be done.
It's fine.
I had a lot more fun with the beta than I did with the real game.
Where
I could just jump into the quest with friends and we were all, equal. I was like, that was fun. But
so really, it's not Monster Hunter's fault. It's your friend's fault. I'm just kidding.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's my fault.
So more Monster Hunter World. I'm going to be finishing Celeste this week. I've been powering through that, having a great time with it. I'm at the Mirror Temple, so I'm assuming that's like chapter 5 or 6, right, Alex? So I have like a couple left.
Yeah, there's 7 total, I think. 7 or 8.
Okay, so I'm pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I finish that, I'll get back to Wolfenstein 2 Dom. I love that game. It's right now on the the next up
list.
It's
sublime, man.
Yeah. I've been teetering on whether to get Slay the Spire, which is a game Ian talked about last week on the show, and I've been seeing rumblings about it online from people. It looks very interesting. It's a roguelike mixed with a card game. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah, I've also been thinking about jumping back into the Elder Scrolls TCG. I really love Elder Scrolls, and I played it for quite a bit.
What's TCG?
Trading card game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. It's like Hearthstone,
Legends.
MTG. Yeah. Legends. I couldn't remember the name, so Elder Scrolls TCG was my grasp there in the air. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't have a chance to see Annihilation last weekend, Jordan, so I'm actually going to be seeing it this weekend.
It's so good.
Yeah, so we can chat about that. I didn't have time last weekend, so I'm definitely going to be watching it this weekend. And yeah, shout out to Avengers Infinity War moving up a week, so pretty stoked about that as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. What about you guys?
I will refrain from talking about Annihilation until you've seen it, because I don't even want to say shit.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jordan. Did you see that the
artist,
the artist from Invincible is going to be doing the reboot of Amazing Spider-Man?
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
is
good
that
art.
Ryan Otley?
Otley, yeah.
Dude, he is on fucking point.
You should see his cover for Amazing Spider-Man 1. He did Spider-Man and then all of like the classic villains. Looks super dope. Like J. Jonah Jameson as well. Oh, so good.
Nice. So yeah, we'll talk about Annihilation next week. I did enjoy it, I'll say that much. And then, like I had mentioned, Star Wars Rebels will be wrapping up. Probably playing the same games that I mentioned earlier, same this week. And then, very important, I'm surprised I didn't hear about this earlier. I guess they just announced the release date pretty close to it actually happening. Tonight is the Season 2 premiere of Atlanta.
Oh my god,
really?
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
I completely didn't know that. Wow.
And I'm like way ahead of TV premiere dates. I like have it in a note in my phone so I know what's coming up.
Oh, wow.
So like I said, I guess they just announced it, but they took the year off last year because Donald Glover was so busy with music and Star Wars. So I love Atlanta. That's what the quote I jumped in with earlier was from, and very excited to see where that show goes in season 2.
Mm-hmm. And what about you guys, Dom, Alex? What are you guys gonna be playing?
I think I'll finally get around to plugging my PS4 back in.
He recently bought a house, Alex, so he's been moving. Yeah.
Like, why do you leave it unplugged? You can just leave it plugged in, man.
Context, yeah.
Even though I still have some work to do down in this basement, as you can see, there's just like bare ceiling tiles missing and stuff.
Are you safe? Do you need us?
No, I'm good. The master won't come down. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a very specific set of skills if you need any help.
If I do plug in the old PS4, I'll get back to Call of Duty World War II finally. I still haven't gotten through that campaign. It's like the shortest bit of game that somehow it's been weeks and I haven't finished.
Oh, wow.
And then I'll at least throw in a round or two of zombies before I ditch that disc, I guess. But
just that disc.
Yeah, my cheap ass. But
welcome to our new weekly show where we throw video game discs out of our window. Ditch the disc.
Just ditch it. Yeah.
See if we can chop somebody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna keep playing Persona because I'm kind of enjoying it. It's kind of nice. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is I like talking to people in the game, like
just
all
dialogue.
Interactions. Yeah, it's kind of like nice.
Social links.
The social stuff is really kind of very well done. Which is especially weird considering it's a Japanese game that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I assume it was localized to be English, right? So it's kind of impressive that it's grabbing me like that, especially me, someone who's not been, I don't think I've ever watched a single anime or anything like that. Yeah. So it kind of shocks me that I just like talking to the characters and just hanging out and going to drama class and whatever else. So I'm gonna keep it that. It's kind of nice.
Persona 4 actually has 2 animes, one based off the original game and one based off of Golden. So there you go.
And a dancing game, so you can get into that too. Yeah. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, so Crackdown came out on backwards compatibility this week for Xbox, which is something I've been waiting for a while. It's one of my favorite games ever, and so I'm going to be diving into that this week just to kind of get back into that and have fun with it. I'm trying to convince my friend Blessing to get in with it because he does nothing but troll me and trash that game in front of me, and I'm like, you need to play this game with me. We'll play through a co-op. It's such a good game. It's probably going to play that. I'm going to definitely dive into the Breach more. I'm excited to play that, and I've been throwing around the idea of getting into XCOM, but I think I'm going to wait on that for a few months until maybe like the summertime. So probably some Siege, probably some into the Breach.
Hey, maybe Mutant.
Mutant
will be your intro to XCOM style games. You never know.
It looks cool to me. So
yeah. Okay. So Alex, you just brought up Crackdown coming to back compat on Xbox. So Jared, back to your earlier point. Not only are 360 games backwards compatible often on Xbox One, but a lot of them are now getting enhanced for for Xbox One X, including Crackdown and Witcher 2. Like they're upgrading the resolution, and the developer doesn't even have to do it. It's just that's incredible.
There's
that's a ton of value.
Some comparison screenshots that came out of Crackdown this week that are insane. I was really impressed.
It's so crazy to me that they can do that without editing the game code at all. So that's like super impressive. And then, like you said, Jared, that Microsoft is doing a good job adding value for the customer. This is another example of that.
Xbox is for the people.
Alex, real quick, have you heard of the game Subnautica?
Yes. I was watching Mark Brown's video on that the other day. I think it was Mark Brown. I can't remember. Some video essayist, and it looked awesome. So I might get that as well. I don't know.
So I've been dabbling with it, like not enough to dive into like give a full report on it.
Yeah.
But it's so good. Like it pulls you in. I don't know how you are with like deep ocean and like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have a fear of open water for sure. But I'm like it's a video game. Like I'll survive.
Well, the thing too is it kind of leans you into it. Like you start in a very shallow area to get you comfortable, and you kind of can like creep into the deeper parts as you want to.
Cool. I got chills.
Yeah, and people like I pitched it as to Dom as Minecraft but with Portal-esque graphics, because it's like the gathering loop and all that stuff. But there is an interesting narrative in the game that I don't want to spoil for anybody, but it does get you very intrigued as to what exactly is going on this planet. So
No Man's
if
Ocean.
you get a chance,
not
sure.
Quite. Is that game co-op or is it just single player?
It's single player, unfortunately. That was the first thing when I saw it. I was like, man, this would be cool to just explore with a friend. But it's in early access. I think it released fully on PC, but I think it's still in early access on console. I think it's one of those things that they just want to focus on making a polished game, and then they'll worry about the multiplayer stuff later.
Yeah. It looked just gorgeous, really man.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to
Jared, I'm going to need a full report for Subnautica on my desk by Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm
going to need a full report on Wolfenstein 2.
Oh, Jesus, all right.
Shit, Jared's got some homework.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Alex. If people don't know, where can they find you at on the internet?
They can find me on OKBeast.com. I host a podcast over there called Pixel Pulse Radio, which is a similar show to this in many ways. So if you like this, maybe check that out. And then I do video essays and other stuff over at youtube.com/OKBeast. We passed 1,000 subscribers today, so that was pretty cool.
Ooh.
Okay,
so, congrats, good job.
Thank you. So if you watch a lot of videos, if you watch a lot of videos on video games, check that out. So, and then I'm on Twitter at It's Van Aken.
Every time Blessing is on, I tell him that like you guys seem to like try to one up each other in a very good and positive way of like trying to showcase better skills and just a better narrative through your video essays as each one's released. So I really commend you guys on that. You guys are definitely getting better with each video, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, there's definitely that competition there. And I'm pissed because one of Bless's video from like 6 months ago randomly blew up from like 400 views to like 7,000 this week. And I'm like, I hate you so much. Like he's got all the high view videos. And I'm like, man, I'm losing.
It's the one with Extension or something, right?
Yeah. Extension.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. For those who are listening, if you haven't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube. If you haven't, follow us on iTunes. Leave a review if you can. Follow us at our group Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest Abbreviated. Personally, you can find me at Jared_. The guy who has just Jared is a jerk. You can find Dom at Dom's Oreos, and you can find Jordan at Mellow Modus. That's it for this week. Tune in next time. We should have Blessing on next week. The other one of the other parts of OKBeast. I don't want to say it's just two of them because you guys have more than two people, right? Because you have
we have
the
5.
anime show.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
You have total.
Ian,
Brandon, who is my stepdad and my co-host on Pixel Pulse, and then Moises, and then kind of part of OKBeast. He's a co-host. His name's Nato Johnston.
Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, I hate to say like the other half, but like you two are the only ones that have been on, so it's like you know what I mean. It's
sure.
Oh, the other person from OKBeast.
No one's offended.
Yeah.
Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Awesome.
Bye.